Just doing the finishing touches here. We got onboard air now, hardwired and permanent in the back. Don't have to pull it out of a case. Don't have to hook it up to the battery anymore. It's all permanent now, and I did it pretty cheap, probably all in $200 maybe a little under. So let me show you how I did it. Okay, so about 3.5 years ago, I built I took my back seat out, built a cargo area, and just recently got some comments on it. A lot of people asking about it. So I want to just say, before I get into the compressor video, this is the new one. I replaced it. The old one was good. I put it together really quickly because I needed to get it done for a job I was doing. And I used to be a drummer. I've since retired, so I don't need to carry the drums around anymore. So this makes a lot more sense for what I do. So I have in here, and then the other one I have I have tools, and I have trail stuff, recovery gear and all that kind of stuff. So also too, this one I had to build to hold the new subwoofer, because when I blew up the old subwoofer, which is a video about that too, it was too big to put behind the seat where I had the last one. So this one incorporates it, and the sub is actually mounted to the box, and the box is ratchet strapped down, so it gives me a really good bass response. Okay, so I bought this for a recent wheeling trip. I was aired down to like 10 psi, and was getting ready to go back, and had to get back to 32. And so I looked at a lot of compressors on Amazon, and I've come to find out that they're all basically built by the same company, and then everyone buys them and rebrands them. So you might notice this looks exactly like the Smitty built one, the $180-ish one. That's because it pretty much is. They just take the same compressor and just put their branding on it. So this thing worked really good. It I would say, with the stock air system, which I'm going to change, the stock hose and everything, it was like 3 or 4 minutes to get each tire up to 32 psi from 10. So it wasn't too bad. And I will eventually be making one of those hoses that does all 4 wheels at the same time, increases flow and all that, because this part gets extremely hot, and it's because it's forcing so much air through a tiny little area. So we'll change that and get a better hose system going here. But for now, so this is screwed down. It has rubber feet. You can see it. No, not really. It has rubber feet, which keeps it pretty stable and isolates it. So I didn't want to lose those, so I basically just took the bolts out and screwed it right through the feet. Works perfect. So anyway, but in order to hardwire a system like this, there's a lot of little components that you need, and I'm going to go through every single one of them right now. Okay, so stay tuned. So as you can see, my switch pod has air. It has it comes with all these little stickers, and air was one of them. So since I've gotten the switch pod, I've wanted to have permanent air compressor that runs off of this switch pod. So the only problem with that is that air compressor runs on, it needs like a 30 amp circuit with like 10 gauge wire, and all the fuses in the box for these are like 15 or 20 amp, and it's really thin. I think it's number 14 wire, 14 or 16 wire. Totally not enough to run that compressor. It'll melt like in seconds. So let me show you what I had to do. So ultimately what you want is power directly from the battery going to the compressor, which is, as you can see, is a lot of things like that in this Jeep right now. So what happens is you need to switch it somehow, and the switch pod, which is right here, if I open it, these are all the relays, these are all the fuses. There's one that's 30 amp, and that goes with this relay here. But the problem with that is that these are the wires that come out of the switch pod that you hook up to everything. They're just not thick enough. They're not going to carry enough current to run that compressor. So the switch pod has to trigger something else that connects the battery right to that compressor. And then I'm going to show you how we do. Okay, so here's what happens. You hit a switch on my switch pod on the dashboard. That sends a signal to the relay here. The relay here sends 12 volts all along the firewall up over to that starter solenoid. So what the starter solenoid is, and now these are $10-15 at the hardware store. These are great. This is old school technology here. This is how we used to start cars back in the day. So anyway, you send a signal to that red wire that goes in the middle. That sends a signal 12 volts into that solenoid, and that solenoid then, a little magnetic activator thing, will connect the left and right terminals and make them one circuit. So it basically just closes the circuit. So then that's where your high current goes through. So basically that has so that you follow that red wire back over here, and so that fuse comes right off the battery. So the blue wire comes right off the battery, goes into it's actually a circuit breaker. It'll trip rather than blow like a fuse does. So then goes from there. That black wire goes all the way back, goes to the starter solenoid, and then once I complete that connection, then it connects the two. So let me show you where that goes. Okay, so once I complete the circuit, there's my activation line, and then we have, this is the power from the battery right here, and then this one here goes to the compressor. And I'm going to show you how we did that. So we ran it down, kind of hard to see, but we ran it down, and then along the frame, and I'll get underneath it. So you run it down along the frame. Remember to keep it away from the exhaust. Have it all zip tied. And then the great thing about Jeeps is we have drain plugs in the front and in the back seat, and then there's one in the way back too, where the the jack is located. So anyway, I just drilled a hole through that rubber grommet, ran my jacketed wire up through it, and then into where the back seat used to be, and then it goes into that cargo area. So let me show you that. So then it runs up along there, comes in through here, and goes to the compressor, and that's the positive. So anyway, the negative went down into the little cargo area where the jack is, and there's also another rubber grommet down there. So then what I did was I took the ground and I ran it down, put a heavy-duty heat shrink connector on it, and basically just screwed it to the frame of the Jeep, and that's my ground. So now we start the Jeep, switch pod comes on, and now if we hit air, that's it. That's how you do it. So I have filled up a tire with it already, and it works. Everything's good. Nothing trips. It's still got the same power it does when it's hooked up directly to the battery. So it's working great. Exactly what I wanted. So that's it. I highly recommend this. You know, you could spend on the ARB, I think they were like $700-800 for the system that goes under your hood, which is great. If you have lockers, you probably need to go with something like that. But this is great just for, you know, when you're wheeling, you need to air up your tires. You want to do it quickly and not have to deal with pulling stuff out of cases and digging through all your crap to get to it. This was a nice little solution. So I will be doing one of the hose attachments. I mean, there's a million videos on YouTube about how to do that, changing that fitting and making the all tire filler. It fills all four at the same time. I might end up doing a video. I don't know yet, but anyway, that's how you do that. I will leave links in the description for some of the parts. Most of the stuff is real easy. You just get it right at your either your hardware store or your auto parts store. So anyway, this compressor, another Amazon brand. I think it was like Skull Off-Road or something. I don't know. It came with a cool sticker. But anyway, it was like $150. It wasn't too bad. So I will find links and leave them in the description. Thanks for watching.